Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's webinar on how to build a next-gen security operations center. Depending on where you're from, I'd like to wish you a very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Before I go ahead, can I get a quick confirmation that you can hear me properly and that you can also see my screen? If you could use the chat option on your webinar panel and send me a confirmation, that'll be really, really great. Oh, thank you. I've got a few hand raises and a few chats as well. Thank you so much for confirming, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Mayur. Thank you so much. All right. As we embark on this webinar journey for the next 45 or so minutes, let's think about why. Let's think about why this topic is important. The Security Operations Center, or SOC, is actually the heart or the nerve center of an organization's security function. It is critical for businesses to have an effective and efficient SOC in order to protect against all the sophisticated threats that are out there. Attackers are using new and sophisticated tactics, and they also attempt to avoid detection by traditional security tools. They also try to make forensic analysis difficult by leaving behind no traces, or at least attempting to leave behind no traces. So for example, in the last couple of years, fileless malware and living off the land attacks have become extremely common. The fact that organizations are also adopting new technologies such as the cloud and smart and connected devices has given attackers a larger surface area to work with and find the new loopholes. This becomes even more serious when the attacker is a nation state. And we do hear about it in the news at all times, about nation states taking down organizations. So these are the security challenges that we have on the one hand. Besides these security challenges, you also have compliance and privacy requirements mandated by law, such as GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, and PCI DSS, to name just a few. To make sure that your organization is well protected and it's adhering to regulations, you need a SOC to bring all of this together and play defense for your company. In this webinar, we'll look at all the important ingredients of a SOC and also where you can get these ingredients. The overall objective of the webinar is to give you some tips on how to build a next-gen SOC from the ground up. Let me take this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Ram Vaidyanathan, and I'm a cybersecurity specialist at ManageEngine. I've been with ManageEngine for more than 6 years now, and in my role, I get to learn about the latest attack methods that hackers are using to compromise sensitive data. I get to speak to people like you and understand the latest technologies companies use to defend themselves. I also have a role in recommending the product roadmap for ManageEngine and analyzing the new features or technologies that we need to bring into our solutions. During the course of this webinar, if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A feature on your webinar panel. So you'll have two options there, one option for chat and one option for Q&A. Please use the Q&A feature for all your questions. At the end of the webinar, we'll have about 10 minutes dedicated for Q&A, and I'll certainly answer your questions at that time. In case you'd like to get in touch with me about anything once this webinar is done, that's also fine. My email address is right here on your screen. It's ram.v@manageengine.com. So yeah, please definitely send me an email. It would be great to hear from you. The chat option that you have on your panel can be used for other general comments or things you may want to discuss with everyone. So if you have any comments about the topics that we are covering today, please feel free to share your thoughts about it using the chat option. By the way, I'd like to tell you this webinar is being recorded, and all of you will receive a copy of the recording over email within a couple of days. So please watch out for the email from us. With all of those logistics out of the way, let's go over today's agenda. The first thing we'll do is get an understanding about what a SOC really is. What is the benefit of having a SOC, and who are the people within a SOC? At this point, we can discuss the ingredients that are necessary to build a next-gen SOC from a people and technology perspective. For understanding the technologies of a next-gen SOC, I'll specifically refer to ManageEngine Log 360 and go over how the solution brings all of this together, all of the things that we discuss together, and enables you to build a next-gen SOC. But really, you don't have to be limited or curtailed by Log 360. You can use just about any SIEM solution. The main point is you can take cognizance of all the best practices that we'll be discussing today and use these best practices in your environment, whatever the solution may be. And finally, key performance indicators. What are the important metrics that you need to monitor to ensure your SOC is working at maximum efficiency? So we'll be looking at that as well today. So without any further delay, let's start with what is a security operations center? Just take a look at this slide. I got this picture off of a Google search, but really this is what a SOC may look like. It's a place. So let me repeat that. It is a place where all the security professionals of an organization work out of. You can see that the SOC has all of these high-end terminals and systems and large dashboards that show what's happening in the network at any point of time. So this scene here, it looks like it's just out of a movie. But it's more than just a place. It's also a function. I've seen many definitions of a SOC, but this is the best definition I have ever come across. A security operations center is a centralized function that protects the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of a company's valuable resources, assets, and data by making use of people, processes, and technology in the best way possible. So this is the overall definition, but let's kind of break it down right now and see what exactly this means. So what does a SOC need to do in order to achieve all of this that we discuss over here? You can take a moment to read this definition. So it turns out that there are four main things that a next-gen SOC needs to do efficiently. That is collect logs, ingest data, analyze information, and respond. Just give me 1 second. All right. Yeah. So the first step, as you can see, is the collection of logs. And the logs must be collected from multiple sources in the network. After all, you can only monitor and analyze what you collect in the first place. So logs must be collected from different sources, from different log sources like Active Directory, network devices like routers, switches, and firewalls, employee workstations, member servers and databases, third-party and in-house applications, file servers, and also the cloud. Apart from this, you also need to collect logs from endpoint security devices and intrusion detection systems. And finally, you also need the ability to collect custom logs in unique formats. For example, there could be applications or devices that generate logs in very specific formats. So there could be a particular application that generates logs in a very, very specific format that is unique to that particular application. So you must have the ability in your SOC to receive all of those logs and make sense of it as well. So collection is very important, and collection from multiple log sources is extremely important. But going beyond collecting logs, a SOC must ingest logs. So if you just collect the raw logs, there is no way that a security professional can browse through the entire data. When the data is ingested by a SIEM solution, correlation rules can be applied, anomaly detection techniques can be used, and threats can be identified. In this way, the ingestion of the logs gives you some very enriched information. And then you have this very important step on detect and analyze. So in the previous step, our SIEM solution has already ingested all the logs and given us some enriched information. In this step, we are asking questions such as what information is important and what information is not important. So we need to look at all the alerts that have been raised and figure out which of those warrant further investigation. If any alert warrants further investigation, it then becomes an incident, and investigation should be done using techniques such as forensic analysis, triaging, and analyzing the complete timeline of the incident. So get incident timeline. So that's the objective here. In this way, you're hunting for indicators of compromise and proactively keeping your organization secure. And finally, respond. Here, the SOC team reviews all the detected threats and performs incident response activities. So with all of this said, you can probably see why the SOC enables you to discover events quickly, understand your security posture, and get the bigger context of any threat. Now let's talk about how you can organize your SOC. Remember, in the earlier slide, we spoke about how you collect and ingest logs. Well, after ingesting the logs, we need to apply certain techniques such as anomaly detection and correlation rules. So that will happen right here. So the first step is, you have your log sources. These log sources get collected by a SIEM solution. Your SIEM solution is going to ingest all of those logs and give you enriched information. And at this point of time, you're going to apply some techniques such as anomaly detection and correlation rules. And once you do that, you'll be getting some alerts, or alerts will be generated in your system. These alerts will then be sent to your tier 1 SOC analysts. Now, these tier 1 SOC analysts, they are your people with eyes on the glass. They'll look at all the alerts they receive and they'll be doing an initial analysis. Now, let's imagine for a moment. Let's imagine that you were to go and sit next to a tier 1 analyst. Depending upon the size of the organization, these people may receive a humongous number of logs every minute, and it can get quite overwhelming. So anyways, the tier 1 analyst will do the initial analysis and figure out if the alert is important and it needs to be looked at further. So they usually spend about 6 or 7 minutes looking at these alerts. Rather, I should put it this way. They'll spend about 6 or 7 minutes looking at each alert. So that's all the time they have because they get flooded with alerts. So within that time period, they'll have to make a decision on whether the alert needs to be investigated further. In case the alert needs to be investigated further, it can be marked as an incident and sent to the tier 2 SOC analyst. But before sending it to the tier 2 SOC analyst, the tier 1 analysts sometimes also give their view on the priority of that incident. So they can give some intelligence about which incident needs to be tackled first. So some sort of a prioritization can happen at this stage over here. The level 2 analysts then perform a comprehensive investigation on the incidents. They need to figure out exactly why the incident occurred in the first place. So they will do things like forensic analysis, and they will also be gathering evidence. They will ask probing questions such as what happened, when did it happen, who did it, and where did they do it. So these are the 4 W's, the who, what, when, and where, which is important for any root cause analysis. To do a forensic analysis, the level 2 analyst could use sophisticated tools that enable Elasticsearch and help them drill down or zero in on the problem. Or they could write queries on a SIEM solution, and the solution will list out for them the exact information that they are looking for. Apart from using real-time data, so all of this is real-time data. So especially the data that the SOC analyst tier 1 uses, it's all real-time data. The SOC analyst tier 2, apart from using the real-time data, they also have to look at historical data. So they'll have to look at the past events stored in archives. So then what they will do is they'll put both the real-time information and the archived information together and then get the full context of the incident. The objective of the tier 2 analyst here is to build an incident timeline and see the sequence of events that led to the incident. To build the timeline of incidents, the tier 2 analyst will also actively investigate what a particular user on whom an alert is generated. They'll ask questions like, what did this user do yesterday? What did that user do the day before? What did the user do last month? So all of these kinds of questions. They will keep drilling down. And then what they will do is they'll also compare all the activities that that particular user did to the baseline of expected activities of that user. So is it all okay? All of the behaviors that the user is exhibiting, is it all fine? Is it normally expected from that particular user, or is there an anomaly? Also, how does it compare to the baseline of expected behavior for other users in the organization? How does it compare to other users in their own peer group? So all of these probing questions need to be asked by this particular analyst here, the tier 2 analyst. Once the tier 2 analysts complete their investigation, they can add their intelligence and send it over to the incident handler. The incident handler will then be responsible for taking actions to mitigate any threat. So this is what happens in a traditional SOC, and all of these elements are extremely, extremely important. But what if you want to build a next-gen SOC? You'll have to go a few steps further. You need to have something called a threat hunting team. This team takes the information available and performs threat hunting activities to look for unknown threats. So this hunt team is not looking at correlation rules or alerts. Like we discussed earlier, those are looked at by the tier 1 analysts. But what the threat team looks at is they look for threats that are not identified yet. For example, they can continuously look at third-party intelligence feeds and see how to use this information to secure the organization. The hunt teams in larger organizations also actively engage with experts on the latest threat intelligence in a bid to stay ahead of attackers. So this particular team here, they may liaise with threat intelligence providers on a real-time basis to be on top of all the attacks. Then you can also have other roles, and one important role in the next-gen SOC is the insider threat team. So this team will specifically look at incidents that are classified as insider threats. And it will be responsible for taking care of any insider threat situation to its logical conclusion. In the last few years, insider threats have become a huge problem for organizations around the world. So in a next-gen SOC, it might be really, really important to have such a team. You can also have a red team within the next-gen SOC. This team looks for vulnerabilities and loopholes in your security posture. They will actively conduct hacking tests and share the intelligence with the rest of the team. The red team's goal is not to take the organization down, but to find out what's wrong and to share this information with the larger SOC team. You also have a blue team within the SOC, and these are usually your defenders or people who kind of find out how to defend the company against adversaries. So what you can actually do is you can have the red team and the blue team work together and also engage in red team, blue team exercises to harden the security. So both the teams are basically learning from each other. You can also have engineers in the SOC who create rules that generate the alerts and incidents. Typically, in a next-gen SOC, you don't want the analysts, either the level 1 or the level 2 analysts, to create the rules. Now, why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do you think the tier 1 and tier 2 analysts should not be creating alert rules? Because if you think about it, it's basic human tendency. If the people who are required to respond to alerts also create the rules for the alerts, there could be a big risk. There's a conflict of interest here, right? Or conflict of interest of sorts. So they may be clouded in their judgment and may create rules that don't generate so many alerts. They may want to make lives easy for themselves. So definitely separate the two functions. Apart from all of this, for setting up a next-gen SOC, you also need to ensure that it operates 24/7. Now, obviously, your decision to do this depends on several factors, such as the nature of your business, the size of your business, and the resources you have on hand. But as we see the threat landscape evolving and the number of vulnerable endpoints increasing, you may want to go down this route. You may want the SOC to operate around the clock to ensure that the business is never impacted. This will increase the resiliency of your SOC operations. So given that we have just described the functions and organizations of a SOC, let's go over a simple but very practical use case. So these are the questions we'll be asking in this particular use case. So just please follow along. We all know that it's the policy of many organizations to disable the accounts of users who leave the organization. However, attackers are always looking to compromise these disabled accounts and launch their malicious activities. In case an account that has been disabled has been re-enabled. So let me repeat that again. In case an account that has been disabled has been re-enabled, your SIEM solution must be able to ascertain if the user is someone who's left the organization. This can be done by configuring a rule in your SIEM solution and raising the appropriate alert. This alert will then reach the tier 1 analysts who will check if this re-enablement is done due to the user account being disabled by mistake or because it's an existing user. So if the disablement was done by mistake, then it's fine. But in case, just imagine a situation where it's an employee who has left the organization and that employee's user account is being re-enabled. Now that could be something malicious and it needs to be investigated. So in a case like that, the tier 1 analyst will then send this alert as an incident to the tier 2 analyst, who will then gather all the evidence, the background, and the entire timeline of events. Then the tier 2 analyst will add their views and recommendations on what really happened and send this over to the incident handler, who then needs to take remedial action. So that's how it actually works on the ground. Having set this background, we can now see how technology can be used to enable the next gen SOC. So we have looked at how to build the SOC from the ground up. What are the different functions of the SOC? Let's now look at the technology piece. Numerous research reports say that attackers are lurking around the network for months, moving laterally and escalating privileges. Some studies put this number at as high as 200 days. The technology you use should reduce the mean time to detect and the mean time to resolve security incidents, and thus create value for the business. For this part of the presentation, I will draw heavily from the example of Manage Engine Log 360. But like I said earlier, it can be any effective SIEM solution that's tied closely to your SOC operations. So just keep a note on all the technologies that we discussed. That's the important thing here. So anyways, you need a comprehensive SIEM solution that enables businesses to gain full control over their network and solve all of their log management and network security challenges. It's important to acquire, ingest, and make sense of all the data from different types of log sources. These would include security devices, network devices, applications, databases, and file shares. So in your SIEM solution, you need a device discovery capability. So your device discovery capability becomes extremely important. This allows you to automatically discover all the devices on the network and start monitoring them in real time. And the discovery of devices should be completely automated. It doesn't require you to go back, to go into the system and configure things. And it should be extremely easy for you. So once the devices are discovered, you can then consume and ingest all of the data into your central log collection console and make it useful, enriched, and actionable information. The log data is transformed into threat information and information about indicators of compromise. And also a good SIEM solution can provide you with the metrics that show the security posture of the organization. So this slide here, it shows some of the major capabilities of an efficient SIEM solution that are aligned with the requirements of a next-gen security operations center. So you have things like security analytics, threat intelligence, user and entity behavior analytics, data security, cloud monitoring, compliance management, incident detection and resolution. We'll now go over 9 facets of technology that a next-gen SOC needs to be, needs to have in place for efficient SOC operations. The first is the technology to collect data. Like I said earlier, you need to monitor a wide range of log sources to detect threats at different layers. This includes any change on security devices, databases, web servers, the cloud, workstations, applications, and more. Other sources that need to be monitored are your mailboxes and monitoring activities that happen on the Exchange server. Yet another example of log sources is your Active Directory environment. And this is extremely important because 90% of organizations around the world use Active Directory. So you need to get logs from your Active Directory as well. So for instance, your solution should detect everything happening in Active Directory, such as any user permission changes, privilege actions, group changes, organization unit changes, account lockouts, everything should be detected. Then you've got advanced event correlation. Getting all the data to one place is good, no doubt about that. But on top of this data, you need to perform advanced event correlation to detect both known and unknown types of attacks. This is the stage of ingesting the data. So you absolutely need predefined correlation rules which solve specific challenges and use cases. With these correlation rules, you can look for things like suspicious software installations, cryptojacking, worm activity, and more. So these are some of the techniques that cyber attackers can use, and your solution should be able to, handle all of these things. A tier 2 SOC analyst should be able to drill down to any point in the incident timeline to view exactly what took place, where it took place, who did an action, and when any action was done. Now, apart from the predefined rules, you also need an option to build custom correlation rules, because every company is unique and their security challenges can also be unique. So you can't just rely on pre-configured rules. You'll need the ability to configure your own rules as per the requirements of your environment. So let's go over a small example from the real world. This is how an effective correlation engine can work. As you can see, an event correlation engine can associate data from different sources to identify suspicious patterns of events. In this example, we have an attacker who establishes a VPN connection after multiple failed logons. And then they get into Active Directory, again after a few failed logons. Then there's a Windows remote logon into the target or victim device. And after this, within the next 30 minutes, there's a malicious software installation. So all of these events are happening here, 5 different events. So A followed by B, or rather 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different events all happening one after the other. A good SIEM solution in the SOC will be able to put all of these seemingly disparate events together and will be able to correlate what's happening. So it will be able to detect this and give powerful reports to guide your decision making. Now, apart from this, apart from the reports, there can also be real-time alerts that notify relevant personnel through email or SMS. Organizations can also make use of automated response capabilities to take action right then and there. For example, they can log off an account as soon as certain conditions are breached, or they can shut the system down. Because you don't want to be waiting for a report or an alert to come to you. You may want to take an action right then and there, to save your environment. So you can definitely do that as well in a proper SIEM solution if you implement it in your SOC. You've got log forensics. Now, obviously, the best thing to do is stop attacks before they take place. But what if an attacker somehow gets in and is lurking around in the network? Log forensics becomes very critical in this case. You need a click-based elastic search engine with which you can analyze complex incidents, gather evidence, and discover the root cause. So how this basically works is you can use search queries to look for threat information and check for compromised systems or entities. So you build a report and then you keep drilling down into the data until you find what you're looking for. The SOC team can piece together what really happened by gathering all of this evidence across the network. So let's do something interesting right now. Let's go into Log360 and see exactly how it works. So this is the event log analyzer module of Log360, and we'll be looking at the search tab right now. So this is how you conduct log forensics. Let me just refresh this quickly. So if I hit on search, it's going to give me the list of all the events that are there in my test environment. And as you can see here, I've got close to 80,000 events in my test environment. Okay. So all of these events are across the different log sources that we have. So let's imagine for a moment that I'm only interested in the source being the MS SQL server. I can just go ahead and click on this. So this is how the Elasticsearch works, or the click-based search works. And once I do that, it's going to give me all the events, which is based on this source only. And then let's say that I want to look at all the events that have the severity set to warning. So I can go ahead and do that. I can just click on it and it's going to give me those list of events. And then let's say that I'm, basically investigating one particular user. So let's say that I'm investigating this particular username. I can just click on that and I will have a more refined list of events here. So as you can see, within a few short clicks, I have brought it down to close to 3,600 events. Likewise, you can keep drilling down until you get to the bottom of the problem, until you get to the root cause. So this is how the Elasticsearch and a good SIEM solution works. And this will tell you exactly what happened, and it will also help you build a timeline. So let's go back into the presentation now. Then we've got threat intelligence. Now, organizations can leverage known threat information to increase their security posture. That's what this particular module is all about. They can check for malicious IPs, URLs, and domains. Now, specifically in Log360, there is support for Stix and Taxi threat feeds. And the solution also integrates with Webroot BrightCloud Threat Intelligence. So that's a new integration that we've got. But of course, if you're using a different SIEM solution, that's also fine. There may be other threat feeds that different SIEM solutions kind of leverage. But the main point here that I'm trying to make is, the threat intelligence module is going to enable you to get deep insights into the threats and advanced threat analytics. And you need that in a next-gen SOC. Other information that can be analyzed using threat intelligence includes geo information, threat category, and a reputation score. And all of this can be updated dynamically in a good SIEM solution. Now, cyber attackers have many techniques in their arsenal to hide their identities and activities, such as encrypted communications, DNS cache poisoning, and URL redirection. The threat hunting team of a next-gen SOC can proactively disable inbound communications from IPs known to be malicious and IPs that have associations with other malicious objects to stop attackers. So it's a threat hunting team that probably might typically use this particular module, but then every organization is different. So you might have a different function which uses this particular module. Anyways, here's a diagram that depicts how Log360 works with threat feeds. As you can see here, Log360 is the central console over here. It collects all the logs from the network environment and constantly goes to the feed store to get any latest information about threats. So you've got information coming from here and you've got information coming from here as well. And then what it does is it's going to do some advanced threat analytics for you. Once this is done, it enables the SOC team with real-time threat alerts and in-depth threat reports. Let's now take a moment to see how the threat intelligence module looks like in a SIEM solution like Log360. So I have a screenshot from Log360 here. Just take a look at this slide. So over here, you get granular information about the top attacked hosts, for example. So what are the systems in your environment that are the top attacked hosts? You can get that information right here. The other information that you get is what was the time the threat was detected? So just take a look at this table. What was the time the threat was detected? What is the source IP address? What was the actual attacked host and its IP address? What is the threat category? What is the reputation score? Now, this can range from 1 to 100. So anywhere from 1 to 100, and can be classified as trustworthy, low risk, moderate risk, suspicious, and high risk. The lower the reputation score, the higher the risk that these IPs will deliver attacks such as malicious payloads and DOS attacks to the network. So you need to keep an eye on this reputation score at all times. The threat hunting team can also get granular details on each of these malicious sources. So all they need to do is, they can go into this advanced option over here and they can see more details, more granular details. And over here, you can see that there's also a recommendation for the threat hunting team, what can be done. let's go on to anomaly detection. The other highlight capability of next-gen SOC is machine learning-based analytics. This is meant to complement the threat detection capability of the SOC. Now, this is a holistic approach to visualize and mitigate threats by profiling and baselining the expected behavior of all the users and systems in a network. A good anomaly detection platform takes about 2 weeks to learn what's normal and what's not normal in a network on a typical day. So if you were to just deploy an anomaly detection system in your network, it might not work on the first day itself because it would need that training period. It would need about approximately 2 weeks to get up to speed on what's happening in your network and what's normal in your network. So things it learns during this training period comprise of what's the normal number of logons per day for a user? What servers or databases does a user typically access? And at what times do they access this, and so on. The anomalies can be based on time, pattern, or count. And depending on what's observed for each user or system, a risk score is given. This is an indication of the degree of risk posed by that particular entity. The SOC analyst can then add these users and entities to a watch list to secure their organization in a more effective way. So let's do one thing here. Let's jump back into Log 360 and see how anomaly detection works in the SIEM solution. So here's the anomaly detection module of Log 360. It's called Log 360 UEBA, or User and Entity Behavior Analytics. And here's the dashboard of this particular module. So at a glance, you get to see what's normal and what's not normal in your environment. You get to see all the recent anomalies, the top anomalies. What are the anomaly trends? So what are the daily trends? So what really happened over here? Why do we have so many anomalies on this particular day? So you can actually drill down on all of these. So at a glance, you get to see what's happening. So just take a look at this, the statistics, the risk levels. You get to see all of this. But what I would like to show you is we've got it divided into users and entities. So let's look at the anomalies generated by our users in the environment. So just click on users. And here is a list of all the users in the environment and their respective risk scores. So you can see that this particular user, he's called user 1, has got the highest risk score in the network. It's a risk score of 56. So what you can then do is just click on that particular user, and you can just scroll down and you can see all the events that particular user did, or all the actions that particular user did, which led to this user having the highest risk score in the environment. So using all of this information, you can actually build a complete timeline. You can go back in time and see what exactly this particular user did across the network. So it's not just, we are not just looking at one particular log source, but we are looking at multiple log sources here, and we are putting it all together to come up with this compounded risk score and building a timeline based on that. So once you have this particular risk score and you kind of deem this user, for example, to be anomalous, doing a lot of anomalous activities, what you can then do is you can add that particular user to the list of watch listed users. Just take a look over here. So at a ready glance, you'll get to see what these users are up to, and all the analysts in your SOC, they just need to log into the SIEM solution and will be able to see, okay, this particular user, he's on a watch list. Maybe, I'll have to probably, take a look at what are the most recent activities that particular user has done. Similarly, take a look at all of these other graphs as well that, that will help you take your decisions. Apart from this, you also have risks based on insider threats, data exfiltration, and compromised accounts. So a good SIEM solution will need to look at all three of these things. So these are some of the attacks that people can do, or malicious actors can do. So what's the risk from an insider threat point of view, from a data exfiltration point of view, from a compromised account point of view? So you can just drill down once again. You just click on that and you get information about all the activities that can potentially lead to an insider threat. So again, you're looking at the entire environment here. So that's how this works. Let's go back into the presentation now. Yeah, so this kind of drills it down further for you. So let's take a look at this particular user. You have this user, John Peter. There are 14 different anomalies and 5 uncorrelated events from this particular domain. So you can, basically get granular details about John Peter. So this particular, the anomaly detection module will connect to the Active Directory environment and pull in all of this information about John Peter, and you can take your decisions from there. Great. The next thing that you absolutely need in a next-gen SOC is efficient data security. So with an effective data security technology in place, the SOC can schedule data discovery scans and identify sensitive data and compliance violations. This can be done using both predefined rules and custom-built policies. Every critical file can be monitored to ensure integrity, and real-time alerts can be configured for unauthorized file accesses, permission changes, and modifications. Practically speaking, this is the impact that it will have. It can enable organizations to fight ransomware. If you implement the right technology, it can look at the telltale signs of known ransomware attack patterns and generate real-time alerts. So what does a ransomware do? It does a lot of file modifications, in very, very short amount of time. It does a lot of file creations, file deletions. So you can detect all of that with an efficient data security technology in place. Incident management. When it comes to incident management, you should be able to transfer alerts as tickets to a central help desk tool. This is where the incident responders that we spoke of earlier come into play. Tickets can be assigned to a designated administrator based on the category of device or alert. And it's not just about assigning the tickets. The progress can also be tracked, and you can monitor the resolution status to ensure accountability. Another big highlight of a good SOC is the capability to create automated incident response workflows. Specific workflows can be associated with specific alerts to automate response to security threats. Actions in the workflow can include things such as blocking USBs, disabling computers, shutting down systems, or stopping services. With workflows, the organization can ensure that the first level of response to an incident is first completed, and the administrator can then take over from there. And this is how incident management is presented within Log360. So you've got the ability to integrate Log360 with a lot of these help desk tools and have a great incident response and resolution in place. Cloud monitoring. When it comes to cloud monitoring, organizations should analyze log data from all the cloud platforms. This includes infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So you need a comprehensive cloud log management solution for AWS, Azure, Salesforce, and Google Cloud Platform. So within this particular module in Log360, there is a customizable dashboard, which you can see on the screen right now. And this will give you all the actionable information about your cloud environment. There is also an easy and comprehensive search feature over here. And there is also a report scheduler to automatically generate and store reports. So, monitoring your cloud becomes extremely important. Compliance. Organizations should have access to audit-ready and out-of-the-box compliance reports for compliance regulations such as PCI DSS, SOX, GLBA, HIPAA, GDPR, ISO 27001, and CCPA. So I'm just naming a few compliance mandates over here. So these are some of the known compliance mandates. But what if an organization is under a very unique compliance mandate? So organizations should also have the ability to build their own compliance reports for new policies. In case of any compliance violations, organizations can get to see all that information on a dashboard as well. So this is how the dashboard of compliance management works. Now that we have seen the technologies that a next-gen SOC can implement, let's understand some important metrics to determine the operational efficiency. So as you can see on the slide, there are two columns. On the left, you have some metrics that are good to have. These are kind of all right. These metrics, they are pretty good, but you need to probably go beyond this. If you are in a next-gen SOC, you need to have the better metrics in place. So let's go over these metrics now. First, you have the MTTR, or the mean time to resolve. How long does it take for the SOC to resolve an incident? That's what this metric is all about. But you need to make sure that your team is actively doing the right work to resolve incidents and not just closing incidents. Number of incidents handled. Again, it's a good metric to see, but it only tells you how busy your SOC is. For example, let's say that a SOC handled 250 incidents in a month, and this happens to be a 30% increase over the previous month. Is that a good thing? Not necessarily. Number of alerts. This is again very similar and tied back to the number of incidents. Now let's look at the better metrics. So these are some metrics that you might want to think about. Percentage of traffic visible. Of all the log sources in the environment, how much percentage does the SOC have full visibility over? Feature use percentage. The SOC should ask itself if it's got all the great features of a SIEM solution it's implemented. So you might be using a particular SIEM solution, but are you using all the features to the best, in the best way possible? And if so, what is the percentage of features used? You may probably want to have a look at that. What is the attack handling confidence? Is the SOC confident about the way it detects, handles, and resolves incidents? If so, what is the confidence level? Number of events per analyst hour. On average, how many events do SOC analysts handle per hour? Anything more than 10 or 11 could mean that your SOC analysts are overwhelmed. So these are the metrics that you need to monitor in your next-gen SOC. Great. So that pretty much brings me to the end of the webinar, but I have a couple of questions to ask you right now. And I'll be launching these questions as poll on your screen. So if you can take a moment to answer these questions for me, that will be really amazing. Let me just launch the poll right now. So you'll see two questions on your screen right now. How do you know ManageEngine Log 360? And do you want our product specialist to assist you with a free evaluation of the solution? So obviously in a 45-minute webinar, I had to kind of, there were only a few things that I could talk about Log 360. And I was all, tying all of that back into how you can build a next-gen SOC. But if you'd like to see how Log 360 works in more detail, please let us know and we'll be happy to schedule that for you. So I'm seeing a few responses coming through. So we'll just take about 15, 20 seconds more. All right, thank you so much. Thanks for all those responses. Let me quickly launch one more poll right now. And this poll is going to be session feedback. So if you can take a few moments to answer these 4 questions that you see on your screen, that'll be really great. It will help me prepare better content for webinars going forward. And it'll also get me a sense of, how I did in this particular webinar. So your feedback will be very, very much appreciated. Great. So thank you so much. Thanks a lot for being here on this webinar here with me. It was really amazing to have you all here. You're an amazing audience. I'll still be around for the next 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please, you can use the Q&A feature on your webinar panel and send those questions over to me, and I'll try and answer all of those questions. If you have any questions once this webinar gets over, that's absolutely fine. My email address is right here on your screen. It's ram.v@manageengine.com. If you'd like to talk to me about anything about this particular webinar or anything cybersecurity in general, please definitely send me an email. It's always nice to connect with folks like you. Thank you so much. I'll put myself on mute right now, but I'll still be online for the next 10 minutes taking your questions. Thank you, and until next time, take care.